come on, let me see his face, see that he's still out there doing what he's doing for the village, which for those of you that don't know, I just became a villager this past week. I'm living in the village now. So I might have some personal questions that I ask him throughout this interview. But thanks for being here again, Dick. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty good. It's my pleasure. Any questions you have, we've discussed the fact that we both like to chat, so that I'm here for as long as you need me to chat. So I don't have a ton of new stuff because things are going along pretty swell. The police department's doing their thing, and I haven't had a whole lot of stuff going on with them, fortunately. I know that Mike Leffencheck, our chief, has emphasized the fact that they are really watching businesses that have been closed up. They're still doing their normal checks overnight, but I think they're doing even during the day, going by businesses and checking, getting out and surveying the area so that business owners can feel a little more comfortable knowing that they're not on the premises, but that somebody is kind of looking out for their benefit. We started brush pickup this week, which really did my heart wonders yesterday, Monday actually, here, to hear the trucks and that big claw that Danny Weir uses to pick up the brush, and then he kind of shakes it 2 or 3 times. And it's like music to my ears. We're a little bit of normalcy. And I know that they were finishing up yesterday and probably had a small area of the village to finish today. One request from Steve D'Arcangelo, our engineer. There were 1 or 2 situations where people had put brush out in plastic garbage cans. That's something that has happened before, and it wasn't a big issue, but we're trying to not have our people get out of their trucks. We're trying to keep them safe. Just so people know, they show up in like 10-minute increments, go to their truck, drive down to Cooper's parking lot, and wait for the next one to come. And when all 4 of them are there, they head out into the neighborhoods. They have no contact with each other. We've recommended that they bring their lunch and eat it in their vehicle. So we're trying to do everything for their safety while also giving people in the village a little bit of normal behavior. We are looking into seeing whether we can send crews out in a couple weeks to mow lawns because the park grass is starting to thicken up. It's kind of hard to believe, but we're there already. I know it's supposed to snow tomorrow. But
don't say that word. Please don't say that.
Once the grass starts to grow, it doesn't slow down for anybody. So that's sort of being normal as far as they're in for that. They're not doing too much. I think we put some garbage cans out around the village, trash receptacles, and they were cleaning the doggy poop things. I can't think of a better way to describe it, that are by the parks and stuff, so that because people are walking more than they were during the days and stuff. So we want to make sure that doesn't become a nuisance and a problem. My wife has been very busy. She's been looking for masks for individuals who are helping in the community. So she finds somebody that's making them. People will come on Facebook and say, I'm making masks. Anybody that wants them, they can pick them up. So we pick up 1 or 2. We've handed out some of them. We have a gal who has done some shopping for us from our church, and she made sure that she had a mask, so if she needs it when she goes into the stores. So if anybody has any or anybody needs any, you could contact, go through Village Hall or whatever, get a hold of me, and we'll try to help out. She's also trying to find some bulk stuff for the police department, the DPW, the ambulance corps, and we've had some cooperation earlier, and we're hoping maybe we can get a little help with that. Stuff is not staying on the shelves very long, and so we thought if we could get, a dozen sanitizers, we can give 3 or 4 to each agency and get them through another few days. We're all working together, trying to make sure our first responders are able to do what they need to do. They're probably more important than anybody. And,
well, you had said the reason that they're going through it is because, they always kept their their cars clean, their vehicles clean. But now when they go out, I mean, it has to be cleaned pretty much in between their shifts, their runs. I mean, that's a lot of cleaning that's going on. So obviously the supplies are needed for those individuals and departments.
Yeah, I know the ambulance corps, Jim Hogan said they basically are treating everybody, no matter what their symptoms, as if they have the virus. So they're wearing their gowns and the face shields, and you may have thrown your back out and you can't move, and you ask them to come and take you to the hospital or wherever. They're still gonna treat it as if you might possibly have the virus because they can't afford to get it. Then we have nobody to take care of us, and so if anybody has a supply of sanitizers and stuff, they have to clean the ambulance after every run.
Yeah.
Because that person may have had the beginning symptoms or not even showing symptoms yet. And all of talking of symptoms, just a absolute slightest flicker of positivity I was hearing yesterday from people that it may be that the curve is just about starting to slow down. We're looking for anything right now. It's not going to happen immediately, but we sure would be nice to see the deaths slowing down and the number of people going into hospitals. I know that I've heard more and more drug results that are working.
Oh, good.
I don't know how available they are to everybody. If you're, this hydrochloroquine or whatever for malaria is supposed to be pretty good. Now, whether we'd have it in Syracuse, I mean, we don't have a lot of malaria around here, but people use it for other things. I saw somebody saying people with arthritis and lupus who've been taking that drug are having a hard time finding it because they're using it now for this disease. So you just hope the manufacturers are stepping up production and get out there. I know a lot of people that in Syracuse area, over 100 at least, who have had the virus and have been considered cured, have lined up for that study to donate plasma to see if they have antibodies now in their blood. So a lot of things are happening. Just so much we still don't know. I read a good story last night on the Wall Street Journal. I reposted it on Facebook about the best ways to shop for groceries and whether you need to clean all your groceries off. Please don't use disinfectant on your fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
To clean them up because the disinfectant might do more damage than the virus would do to you at this point. A lot of common sense. If you're in the stores and people are coughing, go to another part of the store. Don't be anywhere near them. Wash your hands as soon as you get out of the store. Gloves, I don't know. Masks, as Ryan McMahon said last week, can't hurt.
Well, and I know in the beginning they were saying you only need to wear the mask if you have it. And I remember thinking, what if I have it and I don't know I have it because I don't have symptoms yet? So it just made sense to me weeks ago that we should all be wearing masks. And, and I didn't because I thought, well, if I don't have it, I shouldn't be wearing one. I had a local shop owner here in Baldwinsville. She made some for us. My daughter and I wore them when we went to Walmart the other day. It's not the most comfortable thing when you're a talker to have your mouth covered up the whole time, but for safety reasons.
I share your pain.
You see a lot of people out walking, and I know that I always say I must have the most positive Facebook people that I follow because I don't see a lot of negativity out there, and I know it's out there. I'm not naive, but when I go to the store, it seems like people are trying to steer clear in the last week or so more than they had been before, and maybe that has something to do with the glimmer of hope that you said you're seeing as people are finally starting to realize, hey, we may not like it, but if we don't stay away from each other, this could be our life the entire summer. Who wants to not be able to go and do things in the summertime? In the winter, we're cooped up. This time of the year it's hit and miss, but when summer comes, it's nice to be with your family and friends. So
absolutely. I guess until people see somebody get sick that they know, it's like anything else. Excuse me. When it hits closer to home, then it's going to have a bigger impact on how we behave. But as the county executive was saying the other day when he was talking about the golfers they were upset that he told them they couldn't golf, and he said, we just had 4 people die in one day. Did that not mean something? I mean, here was a guy, I don't know if you've ever met Ryan, but he's a very strong personality.
Okay.
And I think he's done a terrific job through this whole thing. But he was literally pleading with people, please stay home. Please don't congregate. If you need to go out, don't take 6 of your kids with you to the store. You know, and put them in jeopardy and other people in jeopardy. You know,
up to fined $1,000.
yeah, I mean, now they're talking fines,
Yeah.
maybe up to $1,000 for violating. I mean, we've taken hoops down. I think I saw something last night on Facebook. I couldn't find it later, but where the schools are asking people to stay off their fields because you know,
That happened the first week. The school sent out a message to the parents within the first week of shutting down schools to please ask the kids to stay off the turf, which helped a parent like myself because my son had wanted, I think I told you before, he'd wanted to go play football. And, you know, of course, I was the meanest mom ever because I said, no, I'm fine with that. But it was nice to say, here's a message from the school. Even if I allowed you, you're not supposed to be there. You know, so getting that reinforcement from the places. And I don't know if it was Bob Wicks or someone else that mentioned they had put up fences around some of the courts and people had cut the fences down and came in the courts anyway. So, you know, you guys can only do what you can do as a public. We have to follow. And I think he also said yesterday that if the governor mandates this, then that's it. Like right now, it's kind of volunteer that we do this. It's a whole different story if it gets mandated. So,
yeah, I mean, it's all about accountability. You do what you want to do because I can, or you know, nobody's there to stop me, and you just don't think of the overall ramifications of what you might be doing. I mean, I'm sure there's boyfriends and girlfriends out there who don't like the idea of not seeing each other for a couple weeks, but you know, boyfriend comes over to see girlfriend. He's left his house with whoever knows what, comes to a house with who knows what they may have, not showing it yet, then goes back to his house. There was a story, a funeral, 23 people were at the funeral, and all 23 people got the virus. I'm guessing there was a lot of hugging, you know, if it was an emotional kind of situation. One of my friends that I worked with for years died not of the virus, but at the time the virus was really getting going and his family wasn't able to have any calling hours. They're hoping that when all this lifts, they can have a fun get together and see all of his friends and that type of stuff. That's hard. I mean, just think of if one of your close family members died and they're in a hospital, you can't see them in the hospital, and then you won't see them in the funeral home, and they're gone. I mean, it's going to leave huge holes in people's hearts, and there's ways that we can avoid it for a week or two. Come on, I sound like county executive now pleading, but I support him 100%. We've got to do something hard and fast, and hopefully in 2 weeks somebody will say, "Wow, we're down to we didn't have a death yesterday.
yeah.
We only got 6 new positives. Things are starting to come around." I mean, I'm thrilled for that day. I'd like to see it sooner rather than later. And I just to remind people that everybody in our village is trying to do everything they can to help. The senior center still is manning phones. The code office is still operating. If you have a health issue in your neighborhood with garbage or something, call the codes office. Village Hall is a good resource to find, you know, they generally know how to get a hold of different people in the village or recommend you on to the county. Ryan McMahon is on at 3 o'clock every day on Channel 9, I know, and he always lists all the phone numbers for the county. There's no reason people shouldn't be able to get information about what to do, how to get help. You know, our main number at Village Hall is 635-3521, and they can funnel you to anybody if that's not the place you need to be. I'm not sure that there's anything new to report on most of the offices, just that they are still taking care of things. I know Meals on Wheels continues to get more calls.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in donating food, call Meals on Wheels down in Metz, find out what they need. Don't just go plopping over there with a couple of packages of chicken breasts or something. They may not be able to use them that way. They may rather you bring the little boxes of juice that they
What
can
they
put in every lunch so that people got a little something.
Yeah, the other thing that Ed Jordan had mentioned is that non-perishables, because if there gets to be a point where it's harder for them to get to the deliveries all the time, if the people at least have non-perishables, then they know they have something in their house to eat. So they're trying to collect some of those on top of the typical things that they're taking. And I spoke to St. Augustine and St. Mary's, and they have, they're gathering food for food pantries, and they said the same thing. If nothing else, the non-perishables, because even though, like you said, we'd like for this to be quick and over soon. If it's not, that's the food that's going to be sustainable for people to keep long term. So that's what they're looking for. I will say that's the nice thing about me doing these videos is I'm getting information from different organizations to try and piece it together for everybody, which is
Yeah,
nice.
you would hope that us talking now, somebody will think to make contact through your website. You want to repeat the name of it? So that
Well, you can just reach out to Heart Home Community on my Facebook page. And I know the Baldwinsville, Helping Baldwinsville, they have a call center. They're helping people, and they're trying to get things to Meals on Wheels, the backpack program, the food pantries. They're trying to do their part, just like the churches and everybody. The biggest thing is if you call directly to Meals on Wheels, even if you drop it off at the donation center for Baldwinsville, Helping Baldwinsville, if you call those places, you at least know what they're looking for. So when you're shopping and you see it, because you mentioned it earlier, Mayor, we're not always seeing the things that are needed for people because they're not on the shelves. So,
and some people may have the ability to find some of that stuff. I know that when I was talking with the police chief the other day, he said he had to go to the store, and he said he tries to go at night because there seems to be almost nobody in the store. He had to go. He said he went one morning by mistake, and it was a zoo. He said he was in and out as quick as he could. He was picking up stuff for his senior parents. And again, let's don't forget that we have a lot of seniors who are used to company. The grandkids stopping by, their kids coming over to, just to visit for a half hour and have a cup of coffee, and they're alone. So let's don't forget them. Make some phone calls, drop a card in the mail so that they know that people are thinking about them. And I just can't imagine if I was alone and just sitting here all day, and I would be terrified to let anybody in the house. But you can stand. Our front door has a screen, and at Halloween time, I drop the screen down, I lean on the door and drop the candy in. So now somebody could stand halfway down the driveway, and we could talk. There are ways to talk through windows. If your parent or a grandparent is at a senior center, like Syracuse Home is a one-story place. I'd find how to find my loved one's room and ask somebody to open a window, and so I could say hi to them. It might make a huge difference. So,
and you've seen that on social media. I don't know if it was Syracuse Homes, but there was a woman that I used to work with, and her mom is alone, and she found her window, and they just kind of, I don't know, read lips more or less, through the windows. But I'm sure it was, I love you, I miss you, those types of things. And she said, at least for her, it was uplifting them. She talked to her mom later on the phone. Her mom appreciated that she did that. And the cards that your wife mailed out last week, I'm sure those were received with a lot of appreciation as well. So, no, I think the community, we're doing good. But
I think just want to point out, our oldest son lives in Rochester. His girlfriend works at a nursing home, and she was there for 13 straight days.
With a cot in her office.
And with a cot in her office. And they've had 5 or 6 people die, several others sick, including workers. Those people on the front lines, so you just have to, we need prayer for people. we need to think about ways to support them. You see the stories about the people who come home and take their clothes off in the garage.
Yeah.
One guy, there's the famous video of him sleeping in a tent in the garage because he doesn't want to get near his family. That takes a toll. Young kids don't understand this. I mean, they're 3, 4 years old, and why can't Daddy come in and hug me, or why doesn't Daddy come in and tell me stories like he used to? It's going to take some toll on people, and we need to do what we have to do to get this over with.
No, you're absolutely right. There was a plumber I had in my house yesterday, and he mentioned his wife. She draws blood, and she's down in New York City right now doing, I believe it was a 2-week stint to give people that are working there a little bit of a reprieve because they were working around the clock. And then when she's done working, she then goes into 2 weeks of quarantine, and then she can come home again. So, he said, it's hard because they have a young son, but at the same time, if they can help get New York City feeling better and flatten the curve down there, what we can do here can help there, then it's less likely to continue coming up towards Onondaga County. So he was proud of her, but he said the hardest part was leaving her family to go down there. And then 2 weeks of quarantine, which is like you said, the gentleman that's sleeping out in the garage. If she just came straight home, she could bring it back here. So that is it's mandated if you go down into the city to help that you spend 2 weeks in quarantine before you come home.
Our sacrifices sometimes seem kind of small compared to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it does. So, well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time again to talk with me. And I know when we started, you said things are kind of running smoothly. There's not a whole lot new, but I said it when we first started doing these interviews, that it's just nice for people to hear what's going on in the village, that you're having the same struggles as everybody else is having. You're trying to run your home, your work, life in general through the pandemic and the social distancing. And it's just encouraging for people to hear somebody else's story that typically is in charge of the village. And, we can tell that you're in an office, but you're home office because you're definitely following the social distancing, do what I can from my house rules. So thank you.
Right. Well, thank you for getting the word out to people.
Okay. And I will most likely talk to you next week. Maybe we'll have, instead of a glimmer of hope, like a big window of hope.
Wouldn't that be great?
It would. So enjoy your Easter. It's going to be a different Easter for everybody, but enjoy that. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Kelly, thank you.